at KELPradio.com.
915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon. It's episode 215 of 915 Talk. Mac Daddy Del Norte, riddle me this.
Yeah, what's up?
Episode 215.
215.
What are we going to do when we get to episode 915 of 915 Talk?
Oh man.
Can I volunteer to be the guest?
There we go.
That's hilarious.
Go. I love that.
Yeah, it's to the highest bidder. To the highest bidder. Oh man,
that is great.
Yeah, good afternoon, beautiful neighbors, most excellent neighbors here in the borderland. This is 915 Talk. I'm your host Andy Frecka. Mac Daddy Del Norte, I have so many questions for you this afternoon.
Let's hear them.
You're married?
I am.
You have 3 children?
I do.
How long have you been married?
For 3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Oh man. And how many years do you want to be married for?
Oh man, until the Lord comes back.
Until the Lord comes back.
Yes.
Oh, you are
yes.
You are a true El Pasoan, a man in whom there is no guile. You give the right answer.
Yes.
I'm thinking about marriage today, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Okay.
I have a little pet peeve.
Ooh, what's that?
I just want to put it out there in the air. You know, you meet a young couple.
Uh-huh.
So you have 3 kids.
Yes, I
right?
do. Yes.
So you meet a young couple. They don't have any kids.
Uh-huh.
They're married,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And then they say this: we're thinking about starting a family. And what are they saying? They're saying we want to have kids.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But they're already a family.
Oh.
Right?
Wow. I never thought about that.
You already are a family.
I had never thought about that.
Just you and your wife, Mac Daddy Del Norte. Just the 2 of you are a family. And then these kids came along too, and they joined your family,
And they
right?
joined it. I remember you telling me this when I was having my baby girl. I was so nervous.
Oh yeah.
And you told me, you know what? She's
I was like, chill out. We have
Yeah,
work to
chill
do.
out,
we
bro.
have a radio station to run.
I was so nervous, and you told me she is joining your
She's
family.
just joining your family.
I was like, wow.
But man, 3 years, and you
3
want to
years.
be together until the Lord comes back. So we're going to be
Yes.
talking today about how to protect your marriage.
Oh, nice.
Some of the risk factors, some things to keep your eyes open for,
Mm-hmm.
all those kind of things. And,
Wow.
and today we have 2 very special guests in this studio.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
How so?
Do you know why they're special?
Yes, I definitely do. Because they are the unique expression.
What is happening, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
We have some breaking news today, Andy.
I can't even play along
Breaking
anymore.
worldwide news. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with great Christian teaching and talk on
And talk.
Alexa. That's
Alexa,
right.
that's
All
right.
you have to say is, "Hey Alexa, play KELP radio," and boom, instant Christian teaching, talk, and truth 24/7.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that is breaking news.
Yes.
And it is worldwide news.
It is worldwide news today.
Because as of today, Mac Daddy Del Norte trained Alexa worldwide to respond
Worldwide.
to the command,
Yes.
"Hey Alexa,
Yes.
play KELP radio."
There you go.
Right.
Yes.
So, but we need to get past the breaking news. We need to get into our conversation. We have a lot to unpack.
Okay.
So, do you remember Robert Hart of Living Hope Counseling Service?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to, just bury the lead, but he's here today.
Nice.
He's one of our special guests.
Yes, he's striving to be the special guest.
Yeah, it's the competition is thick.
Fierce.
It is fierce, absolutely. But today he came with another special
Oh,
guest.
okay.
His wife Kia. They've been married for over 3 years, 30 years.
Oh, I was about
More
to say
than 3 years, way more than 3 years. 30
Oh,
years.
okay.
And they have 3 amazing children.
Wow.
That's according to the Living Hope website. That's super amazing. So they're going to tell us how to get from 3 where you're at to
Yes.
30.
Wow.
So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to Robert and Kia Hart.
so good to be here.
Yeah, Robert, welcome back. Kia, welcome for the first
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Yeah, Kia walked in and I said, "You're going on air, Kia." And you were so excited. You said you've been planning all day, right?
Yes, all day.
Exactly.
I've been thinking about it nonstop.
I said, "No, man. We're going to be talking about marriage. It would be so great to have both of you on air. Let's talk about these things." But Robert, kind of help get this conversation started.
stage?
Yeah, set the stage.
Sure. Well, we're here today to talk some about marriage, not the Instagram, let's, give a little snippet, not that.
Right.
Just real life.
Right.
The day ins and day outs of marriage, which come with blessings and a lot of boredom, some conflict,
Sure.
intimacy, all of those things. And
Right.
so we're here today to navigate some of that and talk about the things that make marriage great
Right.
and some of the challenges.
Right.
So,
Some of the things that make marriage great and some of the challenges.
yep.
All right. So, are we going to start off on a positive note or a negative note?
Well, sure, baby. You want to think of some of the positive things?
What
that
is the best
marriage
part about
brings?
being married to Robert?
Uh-oh.
When you said some boredom, I thought, oh, rarely with you. I'm not bored much.
Ah,
It's pretty darn interesting.
That's interesting. I mean, talking about boredom in marriage, is that something that many couples are experiencing?
Listen, I think in the day and age of dopamine hits from your phone and other media, certainly, right? Life isn't always just the exciting parts. It's the parts where you're washing dishes and doing laundry and, parenting children that don't invite your parenting, right? So maybe boring isn't exactly the best word for it, but it's certainly not glamorous. It's
Sure.
not always the happily ever after that people might make it out to be. It can be work.
Yeah.
So-
and Kia, why did you say being married to Robert is not boring? What was the first thing that came to your
Well,
mind?
he's just not a boring person at all.
Oh.
He's one of the people that makes me laugh the most. And he's quite entertaining a lot of the time.
Oh,
But you're right, there is routine for sure, a lot of routine days, and not everything we do is exciting. But I would say being married to you makes my life less boring for sure, just because of his personality.
all right.
Wow. There you have it, folks.
Okay. Being married to Robert Hart is glamorous.
Never a dull moment. That's what I heard.
So do we have some tips for folks who are kind of experiencing this? Because I'll say this. My wife and I have led, I would say comparatively to a lot of other couples out there, we've led an unusual life.
Yes, a very adventurous life.
Yeah. At the same time, there have been times where I'm like, let's not talk about what we're going to eat for dinner. Let's not do that. Let's not. And so what would you recommend that we do? Or is it even a goal to get out of the mundane?
Well, sometimes it is. If that's creating some challenges for you, like if it's building a sense of resentment and or challenges for you, you certainly need to break out of it. But rather. You're jumping ahead a little bit. We
Okay.
will get to some very practical tips
Okay.
towards the end of our show here.
All right.
But what I'm hoping we'll start off with is we're going to start talking about some of the things that can pose some risks
Okay.
in a relationship. They're basically some red flags within your marriage.
Okay. So
that-
one was boredom.
Well, that's actually not the biggest risk factor.
Right.
That one, I'm just acknowledging that marriage isn't always glamorous. It's
Okay.
not always snapshots of the greatest gourmet cooking or
Sure.
the picture perfect
Parachuting over the Mojave Desert.
Uh-huh. Yes, or having the model showcase home that makes Better Homes and Gardens cover, right? It's not always that.
Sure.
It's day to day. It's changing diapers and mopping floors and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but one of the biggest things that brings people in to our offices at Living Hope and is potentially a risk factor that people come in looking for help with is poor communication.
Poor communication.
Right.
Okay.
And that is chock filled with things like miscommunication, misunderstanding, criticisms, and defensiveness. Now, when you think of those babe, as you're shaking your head, that's correct. Do any of those stand out to you as you hear me say them?
No, not one more than another.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, the guy that does research on marriages, his name is John Gottman, and he's worked really hard to find factors that accurately predict the failure of a relationship. And first of all, let me just say, risk factors don't mean that your marriage is doomed, because we've all had poor communication in a marriage, right? It doesn't mean that. But when you feed these problems, when you feed these risk factors, like John Gottman calls these the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right?
Okay.
When he talks about risk factors.
Oh wow.
If you
Sounds scary.
If you have a horseman show up and you quickly shoo it off your property, things are probably going to be okay for you. But when they show up and you feed them and you build a barn around them and you nurture them and learn how to ride them a lot, that's not going to end well for you or your marriage, right? And among them is things like criticism and defensiveness. Okay. So, in a marriage, you thrive on encouraging one another and building each other up, like Ephesians encourages us to do, right? That goes a long way to help strengthen your marriage. But we've all experienced communication problems, unresolved conflict and resentment.
Yeah. So before we go into unresolved conflict,
yes,
communication. So interesting for me. When you came into the studio today, I saw Kia was with you.
Yes, you did.
And I assumed we were talking about marriage.
Right.
And Kia is coming on air with you. And I brought up the question, and I realized immediately that was not the case. And I was so interested to see how the executive director of Living Hope Counseling, together with his counselor wife, Kia, were going to communicate with each other to figure this out. Because it was literally like 5 minutes before we went on air. And it was interesting for me because Kia was careful to define exactly what she was thinking. It was...
What'd you see?
Well, I saw a pause in thinking about, I want to say exactly what is going on in my mind so that there's not a question about what I'm thinking.
She does tend to be the more careful one.
That was very observant of you.
Yeah. So I mean, it was interesting to watch because I think a lot of times for couples, when there's a situation like that, it's like, well, this was not expected. It's mild stress. Yeah. Right. But it's kind of like, well, whatever you think, and and of course she was deferring, a bit and this and that, but she also was careful to define exactly kind of the boundaries of what she was thinking.
Sure.
And so I just found that to be interesting and a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's fun to be party too. Sure it is.
I was like, I got to pull out some popcorn and see how the professionals communicate with each other.
Well, and part of your job, and you do it very well, Andy, is
did you hear that, folks?
You throw chum in the water for people, right? And you enjoy watching the show after you do it, which is excellent.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the word stress. Stressful life situations is part of the risk factors that all marriages experience, right? Okay. Because we all go through things like, Mac Daddy Del Norte was talking about having 3 kids.
Yeah, little ones.
Every time you go adding a new person to your family.
Yeah.
That's not always bad stress, but it is definitely stress.
Sure.
Job changes, whether you lose a job or you get a job, those are stress. Illnesses, deaths, graduations, all of those things can contribute to challenges within the marriage, right?
Sure.
We all know this one, financial stress, right?
Yes.
Now, I've not yet experienced the financial stress of too much money. I'm praying for that one. So if any of you prayer warriors out there want to pray that the Harts would experience the financial stress
Right.
of
Yeah.
abundance.
I remember that growing up. My pastor was like, he said, not having enough money is a testing for us.
Yep.
And having too much money is an even bigger test.
Uh,
And he said, and we're all praying for the bigger test.
Yes, yes. So, family of origin issues
Oh,
can often bring about
What is that?
challenges. Well, so like if you grew up in a family, well, first of all, when two people come together, certainly here in the great state of Texas, you should not be coming from the same family,
Yeah.
right? So, two people joining together
Sure.
are going to be coming from entirely different families.
yes.
And that can be
Amen to that.
Yes. Well, that can be really different because let's say and Kia and I are good testimony to this being very, very different. I grew up in a very, very blue collar family. My mom was a worker and my stepfather was a worker, and part of the family dynamic was we grew up in a blended family, right?
Okay.
I had step parents and step siblings. Kia grew up in a military family.
Oh, wow.
Very, very different. No step siblings, all intact. So we both brought in all kinds of expectations and ideals for marriage, and those over time have brought up challenges and interesting conflicts between us.
Right.
Which leads to one of the other risk factors, unrealistic expectations, right?
Okay.
We both walked in the door of this relationship hoping that the other person would be a certain way, which sometimes they exceeded those expectations, but rarely, right? When my expectation of my wife was to perfectly mind read me all the time, how did that work out?
I
honey?
failed.
So,
You're not a very good mind reader.
No, I'm really not.
so oddly enough, as good of a mind reader as I think I have been, I too have failed. I'm not a very good mind reader, so those can cause problems and challenges in the relationship in a way that are risk oriented, right? Let's see. And obviously, one of the other ones here, which I hope not too many of our listeners have, but when you have totally different value sets,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
right? If you both come in, one of you, and the most common ones that we see are going to be different values about, and this is connected to the financial stress, when one of you is a spender and one of you is a saver,
Yeah.
right? A value, one person, cleanliness is next to godliness, and the other person is, well, cleanliness is way overrated.
Yeah.
Those are different value sets.
Sure.
So those can cause not only stress and challenges in the relationship, but they can actually be risks that, if they're not addressed, can lead to not only problems in the marriage, but can actually lead to the demise of the marriage. And obviously, we have an enemy out there, which I know you know, Andy,
Yes.
right? And that enemy wants to destroy our marriages.
Right.
So, we want to protect our marriages. We want to do things like in James, be quick to listen to one another, be slow to speak, and even slower to anger. Those are some protective things that we're going to do to start correcting. Now, you looked like, when you looked at me just a second ago, you looked like you had a question. Did
well,
you?
I have about 200 follow-up questions.
Go ahead.
so
Before
to
we
all
get
of
to the
these
protective factors,
Okay,
let's,
so these are risk factors.
yes, they are.
When it comes to values, I think when I was early on in ministry, full-time ministry,
Yep.
I worked with a great mentor, and one of the things we learned was there's a difference between principle and preference. So a principle
Okay.
is something that you will not waver on.
Yes.
A preference is, I don't think that the thermostat should be set at 78 degrees. That's too hot. I can't afford the heating bill. It's uncomfortable. I can't fall asleep. could we talk about that and perhaps reach a compromise?
Yes.
A principle would be like, I believe that the only way to heaven is through faith in Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, I'm giving like two examples.
Yes.
But you talk about two different values. It was interesting to me because the example you gave was not as hardcore principle as maybe what I would think of.
Sure. Well, it certainly can include ginormous values, like you're talking about spiritual values, like where you have, a Christian married or partnered up with a non-Christian, or things like that. It can be that extreme, but for a lot of folks, especially issues like money, the saving spending example, for a lot of people, those are deeply rooted in values based on how they grew up. So I know a lot of people who grew up very poor, for example, and so whenever they get money, they want to save it because they know how important and what it is like to not have. And so for them, it is hugely valuable, hugely important to protect what little they do have. And then people who come from maybe a more middle to upper class economic background, that's not that important to them. Hey, if I need more money, I will just go get another job, or I'll go ask mom and dad, or those really often are deeply rooted in very significant values for them.
Right. And what I heard you say also when you began to go through these risk factors is having a risk factor is not the end of a marriage.
Correct.
And what I heard is maybe there is an exception there, but I would say almost every marriage has all of these risk factors.
Risk factors absolutely show up everywhere.
It's just maybe a matter of to what degree, because
Correct.
I'll give an example. My wife and I both come from very religious Christian families. Our parents were strong believers. However, her family is nicer than mine. They're from El Paso. My family's from Ohio. We're very blunt.
Yes.
And perhaps some of the things I might say would come across as being hurtful to someone from the South. And on the other hand, if I want her to, if she's asking me to take out the garbage, I want her to say, "Would you just take out the garbage?" Not, "Look at the weather outside. Isn't it beautiful? It would be so beautiful also if the garbage was not inside the kitchen." Kind of hinting around.
Yes.
And so like to me, that's like a very, very tiny risk factor.
Yes.
It is not a big deal, but everyone has these to a certain degree. And so as you were going through those, kind of what I was thinking about is, at what point does a couple need to look at these risk factors as, oh, this is a big problem, we need to do something, or is it we should always be working on them all the time?
Well, I'd like to hear what my wife has to say about that, because I have some thoughts about that. But do you have any thoughts about that?
I don't know that I have any great answer to that. I mean, I guess if it's really causing either one of you distress to a point where I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that. It's there's not a specific line cut off, a specific measuring stick. It's definitely subjective.
6 times a week. That's the cutoff, Andy. if these things happen, I'm kidding. Right? Yeah. Because and Kia, you make a really good point. It's in some ways you have to determine for yourselves as a couple, what is your ability, right? Some people have a higher threshold to overlook an offense, and we know scripturally that's to a person's credit to overlook an offense.
Sure.
But for some folks, it's tough to overlook an offense, and when they're cumulative, like you gave a great example between you and Rachel, right? So you guys, if you're having a little tiff and she walks away and it stays with her for 2 or 3 days, and then another one happens on top of it, and then another, then suddenly this little bitty thing isn't so little anymore. And what's going on inside, that those little bitty risks might start compounding to lead to something bigger like resentment, right? And I like to make these parallels relationally and emotionally, physically, because we all understand physically. Listen, I love cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers are great.
Robert Hart of Living Hope Counseling Services in El Paso, Texas, loves cheeseburgers.
I do.
That's breaking news.
Yeah. Mac Daddy Del Norte, breaking news right there. It is. One of my favorite cheeseburgers happens to be from a very greasy joint in town, and it's a chain. I shamelessly plug it. It's Jack in the Box.
Okay.
So eating a cheeseburger is a risk factor. It is not very healthy for me. But is that going to kill me? No. But what if I eat a cheeseburger and I smoke? Smoking once, again, not going to kill me.
Right.
But now I'm doing two pretty risky things to my body that are not healthy.
Now what if I eat 10 cheeseburgers a day
And smoke
have
a pack.
3 cigarettes each time?
And a milkshake.
And a milkshake.
And then I go home and take a nap afterwards and fail to exercise. Right? I am now compounding these risk factors. And that's the thing that I'm just drawing to your attention.
Sure.
Any one of them is probably not, again, it's not the death sentence.
Right.
But these things can stockpile and stack up on you. And I think the big thing I want to be bringing to people's awareness is these are things that as they happen in our life, we do want to monitor them and regularly make sure that we're doing something to counteract them. And we're going to get to that with the protective factors and the basic tips you can do to kind of protect your marriage and strengthen it.
Right. Okay. So if you're just joining us with Robert and Kia Hart, they're of Living Hope Counseling here in El Paso. What I love about Living Hope, one of the main things is I have met so many pastors, church leaders. They all speak so highly of Living Hope. It's what a great asset for our community. And Robert, we're going to have the traffic break here just in a couple minutes, but what I'm wondering when I look at this is when it comes to counseling, when it comes to marriage counseling, at what point should someone give a counseling service like Living Hope a call or do something more than just talking to each other at home by yourself and trying to figure it out?
Well, I like to use the 3 strikes rule, okay? I think it's a good idea if you're having challenges or difficulties in your marriage to look outside of your marriage, usually to good friends and or like a pastor, a priest, somebody close to you. Go to them and let them know what's some of the challenges are. And if after meeting with other people outside of your marriage 3 times, if things don't substantially improve, usually that's a good time to seek professional help.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right?
So again, I'm just going to kind of rehash what you're saying. But if you're husband and wife and you're feeling, hey, things seem a little off, you go find someone who's easily accessible.
Yeah, a friend, a pastor,
someone you trust, someone who's maybe a little bit you feel like is a little bit ahead of you in the game.
Yeah,
and meet with them 3 times, and if that doesn't seem to create any kind of change, then you go to the professionals.
That would be my advice. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And that's something that I guess that when you started answering, I was realizing that that's kind of a common theme. We've talked about depression, we've talked about anxiety, so many different topics we've talked about on this program. But I love the idea that at Living Hope, you're not like, immediately call us.
Oh, yeah.
if hopefully you're part of a church community, if you're listening, if you're not, become part of a church community, find one, give us a call at the radio station. We'll give you some ideas. There's so many great church communities here in the borderland. We can kind of give you some options that are out there, but in whatever community you're in, talk to some people, and if their eyebrows are super raised, get their input on it, then maybe you can take the next steps to reach out to a place like Living Hope.
Absolutely. And that's what the body of Christ is for, right? We're supposed to bear one another's burdens and thereby fulfill the law of Christ. So.
Right. I love it. So we've been talking about risk factors, and we're about to go into protective factors.
Correct. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to a break there. I started to check out, my friend. Sorry.
Yeah. So give us just the top line. What is a protective factor?
Well, if you think of, again, like if you think of cheeseburgers, smoking, a lack of exercise as risk factors, protective factors are going to be the things that kind of counteract those risk factors.
Okay.
So if we talked about poor communication being a risk factor, well then working on your communication skills would be a protective factor.
Okay.
Right? But doing it with intention.
Right.
If we talked about financial stress being a risk factor, getting advice and counseling on financial matters would be a protective factor. Things like that. The countermeasures.
Love it. Okay, so we're going to go into protective factors.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to do this protective factor. We're going to find out what's going out there on the roads. Charlie 1, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
It's not a normal Monday, Andy, being on Martin Luther King Day. I see it much different here on the roadways because the typical tight spots like I-10 East through the Spaghetti Bowl area, also I-10 Trans Mountain Red area, it's very easy traffic. Well, I want to go back on that one. I-10 at Trans Mountain, because there's the barrels out there and construction going on. But that's the only thing, because there's kind of narrowed down on the lanes there at I-10 and Trans Mountain. But what I want to get to is that I-10 normally around the Lee Trevino Loma Land area is stacked up right now. Normally I-10 is through Spaghetti Bowl area. Stacked up. Right now, it's an easy drive, light traffic because it being Martin Luther King Day, so you don't have to worry about that. There's a crash. Zaragoza and Golden Gate, we have a crash. That one has still PD activity there, still an active scene. Closures going on. America South and Peticano, we have an entrance ramp closed there. Gateways, North and State Line, right lane taken away. Desert South and Trans Mountain, left lane taken away. So we have construction going on, but other than that, that's it's a pretty easy afternoon being Martin Luther King Day. Andy, back to you.
Charlie 1, today we have with us in the studio Robert and Kia Hart. They're of Living Hope Counseling Service here in El Paso, and we're talking about marriage and really the need for a big theme is the need to communicate well. And I know that a lot of borderline couples find that the best way to communicate is over a bowl of menudo. Now, if they wanted to have that bowl of menudo at home any day of the week, where would you suggest that they acquire it?
Well, I would say Eastside Choice Meats, because there you can go by Eastside Choice Meats, Loma Land and Traywood, pick up that. They have it in two sizes. And it's homemade. It's very delicious menudo. Just heat it up in the microwave oven or wherever you choose to heat it up. And it's very delicious. And you can choose your day, in the afternoon, morning, if you want it for the morning or something. But you can pick it up there and just take it home and comfort of your home. Just really enjoy that delicious menudo and buy it at excuse me, at Eastside Choice Meats, Loma Land and Traywood. I mean, that's the place right there.
All right. Thank you, Charlie 1. We'll talk soon.
You bet.
And we're back with Robert and Kia Hart. So we were talking about risk factors in a marriage. I feel like each one of those risk factors could be a whole 915 Talk episode.
For sure.
Yeah. And so I think maybe one of the main things is just that we heard them and we're aware of them.
Correct.
And bear in mind that, this is popping up again and again. I need to deal with it. But to me, it sounds like protective factors are kind of a way to get ahead of the game.
They are. You are correct. And hopefully, in the same way that you experience risk factors in your marriage, hopefully your marriage is not all risk factors, right? Hopefully there are just some naturally occurring protective factors.
Sure.
Like one of the ways my wife esteemed me when she started off was talking about how never a dull moment and how I make her laugh. Well, that can be a protective factor in our relationship, right? Sharing a sense of recreation and humor together. That's a big part of protecting a marriage.
Do you
right?
find that after 30 years, Kia, that Robert is more or less funny? Are the jokes getting a little bit like
stale?
Yeah.
He's a great deliverer of jokes, so I could hear the same joke out of him 50 times and still find it funny because he delivers it so well.
Wow.
High praise.
That is high praise.
Thank you,
And he's good at changing it up too.
Yeah. Okay. That is impressive. I sometimes think that jokes get better with age. I'm not sure my wife agrees with that.
My kids don't always agree
so
with
I'm
that
like
either.
so impressed right now. I am so impressed. That is amazing that the jokes are getting better with time.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that too. I'll thank you later, sweetheart.
I mean it with all sincerity. I am
Yes.
also like you. I'm kind of blunt, very real. I'm not going to say it if I don't mean it.
Okay. And Robert?
I can be a bit of a
No, I
soft
want to
shoe.
hear this from Kia.
Okay.
He's creative. He's very creative.
Interesting.
Yes.
I feel like we could dive deeper into that, but we need to.
There's a 915 segment for that. as well.
Exactly.
Yes, there
All
is.
right, creative communication with Robert and Kia Hart. But let's talk about some more of those protective factors.
Well, attunement is one of the big protective factors. Attunement is just a big fancy word for paying attention to your partner, right? That you would notice when your partner is feeling upset, when they're feeling down, when they're feeling scared. And I try to make things simple, especially for on air. This is super easy to remember. Listen, there's 4 buckets of feelings, and I don't know if we've talked about that.
The 4 buckets of feelings.
Yes. Like,
Okay.
obviously, there's lots of different names and intensity of feelings, but if you approach it, the idea of being attuned to your partner, I would say tune into these 4 buckets of feelings. There's happiness. That one's usually pretty easy to spot, and very few couples have problems with happiness, right?
We're
At
too
least too
happy.
much of it, exactly. We are just too gosh darn joyful. That one's not too problematic. That leads us to the other 3 buckets. There's anger as a bucket, and so you need to be attuned to that. But it's also helpful to understand that anger is typically secondary. And what I mean by that is it is not there's usually something else fueling anger, and it's something in the other 2 buckets, because can we agree happiness almost never fuels anger? I don't ever get too mad because I'm so gosh darn happy. It's usually a driver of one of the other 2 buckets,
Right.
Which is sadness or pain, and fear is the other bucket, right? And so if I'm
happiness, anger, sadness, and fear.
correct.
And you're saying that sadness and fear are usually what lead to anger.
Correct.
You're not just angry without
Yes,
a
without
reason.
something else going on.
some kind of
Yeah,
trigger.
Sure. Well, like I use this example a lot. If I drop a bowling ball on your foot, how do you feel?
Unhappy.
Correct. There's going to be some, and usually that's the sad bucket.
Yeah.
And often, what comes right after that?
Fear.
Oh, fear that it might be broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Andy, this makes me very happy for you. Well, seriously, because I halfway expected you. Lots of men, in particular, the very next emotion that they express is anger.
Oh,
Like-
I was just concerned for my foot first.
Oh, yeah. So, well, and obviously there is potential injury there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, usually anger, again, is the byproduct of either a loss of control and or physical pain, right? And so attunement means I'm going to be paying attention to my partner, particularly in those areas of sadness and fear,
Right.
Because the truth is we're all very emotional beings. Like we come into the world, and I think we've talked about this before, but we come into the world feeling everything. We don't have words yet. We don't even have thoughts on the front end because our brains aren't developed, but we all come into the world feeling everything. And those feelings don't just magically disappear. We're hardwired for them.
Yeah.
We've learned how to use language and words to express them, to make understanding from them, to give meaning to them. But the truth is, we always are feeling, and a protective measure in a marriage is when we are attuned to or attentive to our partner's feelings.
Yeah.
Because they're feeling all the time.
Right. And you said something really quick there, and I want to just maybe go
Dive
back
deeper
and
on it?
highlight it
Sure.
for a moment. You said that sometimes we're angry when we feel like things are out of our control.
Yes.
And we're talking about marriage today, and I would think that perhaps some anger and discord in relationship comes when you're trying to control
Your
your spouse, your partner.
Yes, for sure.
So speak into that. Like, what does that look like? Because I'm trying to think of an example from my relationship with my wife.
Yep.
For example, when she goes into a grocery store and I'm waiting outside, and I want her to be out in a certain amount of time, and she is very efficient in grocery stores, and so I might be incredibly unrealistic in my expectations.
Yep.
But I'm starting to feel some feelings about I thought you were going to be back in 3 minutes.
Yes.
And it's been 4.
Yes.
Of course, I'm exaggerating.
3.75 minutes.
Yeah, and so one of the things is what I've seen with couples that I think are probably happier is they kind of just chuckle at their partner's behavior. That they're doing something and it's not what they would want or expect, and it's just like, that's just who they are.
Sure. There's a great degree of acceptance is what you're talking about there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably right. And so I guess speak into that for a couple that's maybe struggling with that anger and wanting your partner to be someone maybe different than who they are.
Sure.
What are some of the, maybe just a first step there?
Well, and immediately when you said that, I flipped back in my notes here too. We went back to risk factors, right? Because anger is just a feeling, and we all feel it.
Yeah.
Feeling a loss of control is just a feeling. It's just an emotion, and we've all experienced it.
Yeah.
It's what we do with it that tends to either lead to protective factors or risk factors. The protective factors in that you're going to want to build is gaining the skills on how to confess and forgive one another, right? Forgiveness and confession are designed to go together, right? So if I'm offended or hurt emotionally by something you've done or failed to do, letting you know that and being able to forgive that are key ingredients to a successful, happy relationship. Failure to do those things leads to risks in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm not communicating to you what's going on inside of me, and or I'm holding on to resentments, right? Like, oh my gosh, every time I take you to the store, you're 10 times longer than I expected, right? That's a resentful mindset. That's a risk factor versus what you described earlier, which is someone who's very quick to overlook an offense and go, oh, and he's just a window shopper, so he's going to dilly-dall, and he's got to talk to everybody along the way, right? So a protective factor is having the ability to adjust my expectations, to see them realistically, and then to work on forgiveness issues. So, because having a commitment to forgiveness and grace with one another is an absolute protective factor in a relationship. Right? Having supportive peers, right? Having a social support network in place where that your spouse is not the only one that you can work through your challenges with.
Yeah.
Scripturally, we're prohibited from engaging in intimate relationships with others of the opposite sex, or with anyone intimately, right, outside of our marriage.
Yeah.
But outside of the physical intimacy, we need the body of Christ to be able to go to when we're having challenges in our relationships, to talk through things.
Yeah, so there's a lot more to dive into here. We do need to take a break. We're with Robert and Kia Hart of Living Hope Counseling Service here in El Paso. We're talking about marriage. Before we go into the break, Robert, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Nice.
But I think you're going to be excited to talk about this.
Uh-oh.
So a few months back, you were here at the station, and you talked about...
You're talking back in 2025?
Yeah, way back in 2025.
Way back last year.
Yeah, but you talked about something that's like a marriage retreat.
Yeah.
So I know it's something that you kind of have percolating in your brain.
Correct.
It's not yet a set idea. There's not a schedule, as far as I know.
Correct. We don't have anything on the schedule yet.
Right. But I think it would be great for people to just hear what the idea is in general.
Yeah. Well, Kia and I are both working to reestablish. We've both been involved in marriage and family ministry the entirety of our professional careers, and periodically we have put together marriage weekends, marriage enrichment weekends, that we're hoping in 2026 to kick off several throughout the city.
Marriage enrichment weekends.
Yes.
Okay.
And as you have duly noted, we don't have any on the books just yet, but I'm reaching out to pastors to let them know that we desire to do this. If you are a pastor listening and you would like to have a marriage enrichment weekend, please give us a call at the Living Hope admin office, and I want to work with you to set up a time where Kia and I can come out and lead that. We just need some host churches and some people who are interested in going into depth on identifying the risk factors and the protective factors that are going on in your relationships and how God wants to change those dynamics for you. So,
all right, so marriage enrichment weekends.
Yes.
And it would be at a church.
Correct.
Somewhere here in the borderland.
Correct.
El Paso, Las Cruces?
Yes.
We can do Las Cruces?
We can travel to Las Cruces. Yeah. Heck, if there's barbecue involved, we might even go all the way out to like Odessa or something.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
And you wouldn't
sounds
even have
international.
It's definitely inter, not just intra-state. Yeah. That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's super amazing that you're offering that to the community. Again, if you're a church and you're like, oh man, we need to do something with marriages deeper. I'm just going to say it deeper than just a Sunday sermon.
Correct.
And
Living Hope, focused, on these issues.
Exactly. Living Hope Counseling is offering this to the community. You can reach out to Living Hope Counseling Service. I lost the web page.
www.livinghopeccs.org.
Yeah.
Or you could call us at 915-772-2237.
772-2237. Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Are you feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or isolated? Sometimes life struggles can feel too heavy to bear alone. Whether you're dealing with anxiety, grief, relationship problems, or spiritual challenges, our Christian counselors at Living Hope provide a safe, confidential space to explore your concerns through a faith-centered approach. Let us help you navigate life's toughest moments with Christ's love guiding the way. Give us a call today at 915-772-2237. Healing begins with a single step. Take yours today.
915.
Testify.
So growing up, I actually grew up to be a Muslim, and it wasn't up until high school when I started going to church and I didn't know who Jesus Christ really was. It wasn't up until April of this past year in 2024 when I fully surrendered to Christ. I was an alcoholic. I was a man full of lust. I was just lost in the sinful nature of this world, and I didn't know how to comprehend certain things. I didn't know how to have a proper relationship. It was just tormenting me from the inside. But I'm here to tell you today that Jesus Christ changed my life for the better, serving at the capacity, knowing that I have a purpose and moving with that purpose because I know that the world is coming to an end soon. My name is Marvis Davis, and I'm here to tell you that if Jesus Christ did it for me, he could also do it for you too.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb
And by the word of their testimony.
DesertVoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. What's happening? What's happening, Mac Daddy? Don't know. We are back. You are listening to 915 Talk. We've been with Robert and Kia Hart of Living Hope Counseling Service. Let's get some takeaways on this conversation about marriage risk factors and protective factors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as promised, I want to make sure before we go to talk about some practical tips that our listeners can start using right away that help build in some protective factors, right?
Yeah.
Number one, set aside time weekly for check-ins.
Okay.
Right? That attunement thing we were talking about, which is paying attention. When you set aside time weekly, that helps you. Just say, hey, how are we doing? Right? Notice. And then listen to one another, right? Take turns. When you talk about communication, it's so easy to slip into pointing the finger and saying, you, try, I, right? I'm feeling the following. And then again, remember your buckets, mad, sad, glad, or scared. Pray together, right? These are protective factors.
Sure.
Practicing confession and forgiveness, right? Confession is one that's an external practice, right? You confess out loud to your partner. Hey, I really blew it the other day when I was harsh in my tone towards you, when I said those mean things. That's external. Forgiveness is an inward practice. And, you know, hopefully those of us that are church attenders, you've heard a sermon or two about forgiveness. So, but those are regular practices that are protective in a relationship. I call them the meat and potatoes. Now, Andy, as I'm talking, I see you looking over at Kia. Is there something specific you were wanting to ask her about these things? Like, do I practice these things with her? Is that where we're going here?
Does Robert practice what he preaches, Kia?
We do. We do these things. We have a marriage meeting weekly. We do practice.
What's the marriage meeting like? Is it like a certain time during the week?
No, for us, we usually just make it sometime on the weekend. We just say we'll do it every weekend.
Okay.
And throughout the weekend, we're like, you want to do it tonight or tomorrow? And we just kind of check in with each other.
All right.
And what we do is we have our celebrations. We talk about what's gone well. That's a protective factor, I think, so that it's not all just kind of a negative focus.
Sure.
And then is there anything unresolved that maybe we didn't work through that well, we need to keep working on it. And then we do business, like let's look at our calendars. Let's see what's coming up. So that's what ours looks like.
Like how long does that normally last? Like 10 minutes, an hour?
Depends if there's anything on the unresolved list.
Okay.
True.
It could be 10 minutes.
And or if
Or
we've
it
got a
could
lot
be
of things coming up on the calendar.
Okay,
That's true as
and then
well.
I'm super curious about this because I think for a lot of couples, you do this for a month and then you forget about it. how do you really stay committed to that where you're not missing it?
That is an excellent question.
I mean, to be really honest, I think we stay committed because we need it. We notice that if we let it lapse for a while, things are
Yeah, the risk factors pile up.
things aren't
for
going
us.
well.
Right.
We need it.
Okay.
And you know what? Not every couple. It's not like a rule that every couple needs it.
Right.
But you can try it and see if it helps your marriage. And if it does,
Sure.
then
Yeah.
that can be your motivator to keep
doing
going.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and the truth, Andy, I think also for us is that we have seasons where we come and go and we do it more, and seasons where we do it less.
Yes.
So it ebbs and flows.
Yeah, because one of the things I've loved about this conversation is I'm reminded of certain things that my wife and I started doing, and it was really good, and then we forgot.
Yeah.
You know, even talking about the mundane, one of the things that we did is we made a list of miniature adventures that we want to do
Yeah.
as a couple. Just things like we saw a food truck, and that would be an adventure to give it a try. Just pull up sometime and see what they have and eat it. And that's adventurous.
It's very adventurous.
You know,
I recommend Pepto.
Yeah. So just being reminded of some of these things.
Yes.
And yeah. So what else do we have here?
Well, I've said it before already, but just as a reminder, building strong relationships with other couples and other people, not just trying to
Yes.
shoulder it all yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So building good, healthy, strong relationships, and you have to have each other's permission about who your partner's sharing your risk factors with. So, for example, you know, Kia and I agree. I've got 3 other guys in my life that I talk with fairly regularly, and she knows them. She knows that they're committed to our relationship, and she knows that if I'm talking to them, and you know, as the Brits might say, if we're having a row, right, and I'm talking to them about it, they're not going to just side up with me and say, yeah, well, kick her to the curb, right? You ought to just leave her. They're committed to the relationship.
Right.
Same with her. You know, she's got friends that she can talk with that I'm like, tell them everything, babe. Tell them how awful I am sometimes. And they support her, but they don't turn her away from me, right? So you got to have good relationships outside of the relationship. And just as a final note, if counseling is something that you need, please don't wait till it's too late, right? Don't make counseling your last resort.
Yeah,
do it early.
That has been just a recurring theme. Every time you come in, we've talked addiction, we've talked depression, all of these things, and usually people only reach out when it's
when they're
everything's
crashing
on
and
fire.
burning.
Yeah. So, Living Hope Counseling Service. So appreciate you coming in today, Robert and Kia. Kia, the next time you come in, we're going to do lightning round.
Okay, that'll be fun.
You've just lost her.
Yeah. So if you're looking for someone to reach out to for your marriage, it's livinghopeccs.org. The phone number here in El Paso is 915-772-2237. Also, the church, Living Hope Counseling is open to doing marriage enrichment seminars at your church. Love all of these things. And so appreciate these conversations. Thank you for coming in today.
Glad to be here.
As we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and that includes your husband or wife, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. To listen to this or any previous edition of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media and click on the 915 Talk link. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.